Welcome back to the Trainwell podcast, inspiring you to move more, get stronger, and have fun. We're so excited to be back with you today. We're going to do top 5 exercises for everybody. But first, Joey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, D. Let me give you a cherry in a pit.
Yes, please.
Let's start with the positive. Cherry. My wife's due in 3 weeks, people. Number 3, baby boy. I want some media of what you think the name should be. He knows ours. My wife's Greek, so we're going to pick a Greek name. Greek boy. Greek boy. So that's my cherry. It could be a pit later on because 3 kids can be
that's
insane.
a scary cherry.
Then my pit is we have a raised garden bed. I built, leveled it on the side of the house. It's beautiful, cedar, not pressure treated, so the chemicals don't get in. We have tomatoes, we have cucumbers, we have bell peppers, we have Anaheim peppers, jalapenos, and there's been a little bastard bunny that works its way in, I don't know how, and nestles under our bell pepper tree and just chills there. So I'm throwing rocks at it.
No,
That's
a
my
little
pit.
bun? A
That's
little
my pit.
baby bun? No.
Okay, D,
Be nice
hit
to
us.
that one.
Cherry
Okay,
pit.
well, since you bring up your garden, let me fill everybody in on my cat situation. I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast. I can't remember, but over a year and a half ago, a litter of cats was born under my back deck. And one of those little kittens stuck around and is my best friend. His name's Kingston. And about 4 months ago, another little kitten arrived, a cute little black and white kitten. And so, of course, I'm taking in this new kitten. And one night it got attacked in the night by a possum. I saw the possum tail. It was like 2 a.m. Its leg is so messed up, but healing. I've been feeding this kitten, coming back every day, and the leg is healing. But just the other night, in the evening, I went out to feed the kittens, give them more food, and this bold possum, was right next to my back door eating the cat food. And I knocked on the door, and it just looked at me and went right back to, and I thought, so now I realize I'm just feeding every animal in the neighborhood. They just come to my house and eat. So.
Did you throw rocks at it?
No, of course not. No, I just watched it, waited for it to scurry away. It was like a teen possum. It wasn't full grown. It wasn't a baby. It honestly kind of warmed my heart, but I don't think this was the possum who attacked my kitten. I would guess the mama possum attacked my kitten. My guess would be that.
So that's your pit?
Well, it's just a story, but let me tell you my cherry. I was at the beach last week with my whole family, my parents, my partner, the kids, my brother, his partner, and we had the best week. We had a beautiful house with a pool, and so we had beach time, pool time, arcade time. It was fun and tiring, and can't wait to do it again next summer.
You didn't get tan. You're not tan like me.
I am tan, but I do try to protect myself from the sun because I sit and watch all the people laying out in the sun on the beach, and it honestly feels dangerous to me. I'm like, you people are in danger. Like, my family is the type where we have our hats, our long sleeves, our umbrellas. We like venture out to dip in the water. We run back to our umbrellas. We're like a family that's scared of the sun.
Gringa.
I like that way.
Fun fact, SPF 30 is your go-to. Anything over 30 is a waste of time. This is research backed.
I know. I actually just heard a dermatologist say 30 will get like 97%. It like blocks 97%, and like 50 blocks like 98%. So you get that like 1 extra percentage. But I am so very white. Like, I need all the help I can get, Joey. I really do.
And your pit?
I don't have a pit. Things are going, my kids are starting back at school soon, and it's giving me that feeling like I'm starting back at school soon. Like, I don't want summer to end. It's like creeping me out, but I'm like trying to stay positive and upbeat for the children.
As a kid, I used to hate going to Walmart or Kmart, the blue light special, for those folks who remember, and seeing back to school sale. I used to hate that because it was just a reminder of the rulers and pencils and crayons, and hated it.
I felt this, well, you know what? I liked the actual shopping part, but it was like a bittersweet because I was like, I never want to go back to school.
And
Ever.
then it was always embarrassing to see the cute girl there and your parents are there, and she's there with her friends, and you're like, oh my gosh, give me that.
100%. I know that feeling like when the cute guys are around and my mom's like, try this on. This will be cute. I'm like, oh, get away from me. I don't know her.
So, what are we talking about today, D?
Okay, we're going to talk about 5 top exercises that everyone should do. And I think we're going to go back and forth. Like, you'll name one that you think, and then I'll either agree or disagree, and I'll give mine. But I have a feeling we might actually agree on a few.
Yeah, we let's start with ladies first, and perhaps we should name the exercise, kind of not demo, but talk about what it looks like, and then why you picked it. So, ladies first.
Okay. My first pick is going to be a farmer carry. I don't think this will be news to anyone. Farmer carries are trending right now. Typically, if something's a trend, it's garbage, right? In the fitness industry, if it's trendy. But a farmer carry, I think, is an amazing trend that's happening right now because it's accessible to mostly everyone. So this is when you're holding weights on either side of your body, just arms down by your side, and you're walking through space. So like walking down and back your hallway, or in the gym, walking across the gym and back with the weights on either side. I also think if you don't have a large space, you can just hold the weights on either side and do like a high march to kind of replicate that. What do you think?
I love it. Farmer carries, I don't think are trending, D. I want everyone to Google
Okay.
functional movement systems, FMS, because Gray Cook and Lee Burton have been talking about farmer carries since like the 90s.
I know, but it's everywhere now because of Peter Attia.
Oh, well, yeah. Where do you think Peter Tia got it from?
Well,
I
he got
agree
it
with
from
you.
the beginning of time, of course, but now it's finally going viral.
Here's the thing about farmer carries. Okay, I totally agree with you. Farmer carries are my staples. If you want it harder, go heavier, or go to one leg, or one side, a suitcase carry they call it, or go overhead carry. Right. If you want it easier, all I would simply have you do is reduce load and just stand there. Okay, and then you can even go tandem, so your feet can go together, or you can go one foot in front of the other to make it a little more imbalancey. But here's what the farmer carry does, right? All your posture, like everyone thinks band pull aparts helps with posture. Everyone thinks like floor tees or Superman's works with posture. False. False, false, false. Posture is a reflex. It stabilizers. It needs to function immediately without even thinking about it. When you put 2 heavy weights in your head, and that's the other thing too, you need to do the farmer carry heavy enough. You can't, like, if you're like 150 pounds, right, you can't do it with like 210 pounds. You need significant load where it's actually a challenge to stay upright. But try to farmer carry with heavy load in a bad position, your body's gonna be like, Or if you get under like a yoke, like the strongman, right, you get under that big yoke and you come up, you cannot walk with that trunk flexion. But basically, all the muscles, when you have 2 dumbbells or 2 kettlebells, the muscles that keep you upright those bells are forcing you to cave forward, right? They're forcing you in this bad position. And so you automatically have to walk in this beautiful posture that grandma always told you about. When you walk like that with heavy enough weight, it'll fix all the things. So again, it's a reflex. Farmer carries are amazing.
And
My number,
wait, can I
oh,
just say for men, build up to body weight. So half your body weight in each hand, build up to that. And for women, 3/4 body weight, half in
yeah,
each hand.
that's a great test. And I would say a minimum of 30 seconds. You're getting so many things. You're getting posture. You're getting grip strength, which we know that grip strength is a key to longevity, right? Atia talks about that because we decay from the outside in, from our fingertips in. So carries are great. So yeah, that'd be my one. We're gonna get some debacle here. Number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I think a Turkish get up. Here's why. Okay, get up is simply you have to do it the right way. There's 7 steps to the get up. Okay, 7 steps. If you're not doing 7 steps, you haven't been taught it right. Please learn from Pavel Tsatsouline, the kettlebell guru. Okay, because 7 steps to get up, and here's why I love it. Okay, well, you can Google what the get up looks like because it's too crazy to talk about. But you're getting multiple movement patterns in one. That's A. Okay, you're getting rolling, you're getting twisting, you're getting hinging, you're getting lunging, you're getting overhead stability all in one move. It's the perfect dance of mobility and stability all orchestrated into one movement where you can go for low weights for like 5 reps or set a timer for 10 minutes and just get up off and down the floor, or you can make it heavy. Okay, there's a video out there, me doing a 48 kilo The Beast 106-pound kettlebell all the way up, all the way down. So it's a strength and a mobility exercise built into one. And the last point I'll say here is it really, really works the muscles that get you up and off the floor. And hello, if you've been born under a rock the last 30, 50 years, the number one cause of harm after age 50 is falling. So if you can learn, John talks about all the time, if you can learn how to get up and get down on the floor with load against fatigue, you're going to be well off.
I agree with all your points that you make about the Turkish get up. I personally would not add it into like top 5 for everyone because I think it's quite complex because there are so many movement patterns. And honestly, I'm a little surprised, Joey, that you choose this. He's thumbs downing me, just for those of you who can't see us, which is all of you at this point. I'm surprised you pick it because you do have to have an arm overhead at the top, and I know how you feel about overhead movements. So it is quite like there is a bit of a barrier there if there is a lack of mobility. And I know you can do it unweighted. You certainly can do a Turkish get up unweighted. But if you're working with someone who's more of a beginner, they don't have that coordination quite yet.
Oh, wait. Pause.
What?
I should say get up variations. If I have a beginner, I took an 89-year-old man through the get up. He hated get ups. All we would do is the 7 rolls, right? You got your roll, you got your tall sit, you got your extension, you got your bridge, you got your sweep, you got your lunge. So all we would do is just rolls. Get up on the elbow, then work our way up. We would only do half get ups for the rest of his life. So I should say get up variations, or you can just get up and off the floor too. So there you go.
But you know what I do? I'm a huge fan of ground to overhead. I also really like a tripod to a half kneeling to a stand. Or even just starting with a kneeling to a stand, if you can get down on your knees. I think those are great variations. So, like, yes, ground to overhead, but starting with the full Turkish get up, I don't know. Too much.
No, don't start with the full Turkish get up. Definitely don't start with the full get up. Just do a half.
You hear that, folks? He's rolling it back. Put it in rewind, everyone.
Hey, we're in the fitness industry. We have the right to change our minds tomorrow.
I agree. It's fine. So here's what I would pick next as like my number 2 would be a deadlift variation. And the reason I'm picking a deadlift variation, because I know deadlifts are controversial. You hear like PTs or doctors say all the time, I wish nobody would do deadlifts anymore. But I really disagree with that. And that's because we're constantly deadlifting. Anytime you pick something up from the floor, you're deadlifting. You're not squatting. You're not like squatting down and using your quads. You're using your posterior chain. So if you imagine you're moving homes and you got to pick a box up, you're not going to squat all the way down to pick that box, like hold it into your chest and stand it up. Likely you're just going to hinge over, put your arms underneath the bottom and stand up. And like, doing that, if you're not training deadlifts, is ripe for injury. You always hear movers say, lift with your legs, not your back. Doing a deadlift variation is how you lift with your legs and not your back. So we're talking about a neutral spine, hips back, loading the glutes and hamstrings, shins relatively vertical. And I think a good starting place for a deadlift would just be a standard dumbbell deadlift with the weights on the sides of your legs, or a hex bar deadlift, something along those lines. What do you think?
I agree. I think a hinging pattern is super important. Hinging for sure. But I would say, but anyone out there deadlifting, my number 1 rule is, can you touch your toes from standing? Okay. Do that first. If you can't touch your toes, then I want you to, because that is the prereq. Do you have the mobility? And does your brain think it's safe to load? You mentioned posterior chain. I think it's posterior chain, not posterior chain, but
posterior
I digress.
Chain?
Anyways, that's the glutes, hamstrings, erector spinae up to your forehead. But anyways, can you touch your toes? Because that tells me that does your brain have the capacity to shift your hips back? If you can't, then it's not just hamstring tightness. Your low back is saying, hey, don't do this. This is freaking out, right? If you can't touch your toes, you can still deadlift, but just elevate the floor up. Elevate the floor up. For over 100 years, 50 years, the barbell plates, right? That diameter, 17 and a half inches, has not changed over time. So your anatomy dictates where you should do the deadlift from, okay? So again, I don't think you should do a hex bar deadlift off the bat. I don't think you should do a dumbbell deadlift off the bat. I think you should be able to touch your toes, and then can you do a floor bridge? Get on your back, lift your hips up. Do you have back pain? Yes, no. Then you can do a kettlebell deadlift. That's my go-to teaching for the next phase. But you may need to stack the plates up and only deadlift from like your knees, right? Because of the mobility. So yeah, I agree. But I would add in my next exercise is a single leg RDL, okay? Single leg Romanian deadlift. And here's why. Because it forces balance on one leg. You can teach the hinge mechanic on one leg, and it's a little more forgiving on the pelvis when you go into that single leg stance, okay? I'm hogging the mic here, forgive me.
Take a deep breath, Joey. Are you at a break? This is a cardio workout for you. I've never heard you talk so fast in my life.
I am super, this gets me going. This gets my
On
blood
edge.
pumping. So a lot of people don't like the deadlift because it can lock the pelvis in place. And that's why these doctors say like, don't deadlift, because it's not like they don't appreciate deadlifts, right? It's just a lot of people don't have the technicality to execute, organize, and perform the deadlift, right? So if you do a single leg RDL correctly, it fixes imbalance. It fixes the whole asymmetrical single leg stance stuff, problems you have. And again, it's forgiving on the back because your pelvis can now rotate. It's not fixed on the ground. Here's the other thing too. Years ago, you know when you go to a bar and there's a bar at the bottom of the ground there and you can put your foot up on there and sit and drink, you know?
Yeah.
So when you elevate the hips
bar, like a drink, you go to have a drink, not like a barbell.
No, yeah. A bar you go to drink, and a bar, like a physical bar, was always on the ground so you can elevate your foot. Well, years ago, they found out that if that bar was there, people would sit around and drink longer because it was forgiving on the back, because you got that hip pelvis shift, you can lean. If you go to a bar without that footstool thing down there, you won't stay as long. It's just uncomfortable because you're in that bilateral two-leg fixed position on the floor. That's what attributes to a lot of back pain, is you don't have the freedom of motion. So that's why I pick a single leg RDL. It's forgiving on the back. There's various ways to scale it and whatnot. You can do holds and whatnot. So I think the single leg RDL, Romanian deadlift, is superior to the deadlift.
Okay, I mean, I'm not going to fully disagree with you, but the reason I suggest I like the idea of starting with a kettlebell deadlift too, but the reason I suggest hex bar or dumbbells on the sides is because the bar is not in front of the body. So the load is back closer to the center of gravity versus in front of you, which is where I tend to think a lot of people get into trouble, especially if they're untrained, because it puts a lot of pressure on the lower back, whereas the other variations don't. The RDL, single leg RDL, also is great for balance. So if you are 40 plus, 60 plus, for anyone, working balance is going to be so key for longevity, but also it trains core as well. So I think that's, I like that. I like single leg RDL. So now, okay, now this is the one where you're going to hardcore disagree with me. I would suggest an overhead press. I have always been, whenever people talk about like their main lifts, they're typically talking about, like in a powerlifting competition, they're talking about deadlift, back squat, and bench press. I have always been more of a strong main lifts person, which is deadlift, squats, and overhead press. Because I do think that overhead press is so much more functional and transferable to real life. Like, how often are you reaching into your top cabinet? Are you having to put your luggage in the overhead bin? Like, it's so much more often that you're reaching overhead than it is that you're like in a laying down position reaching out in front of you. And now I know it's training like chest and shoulders and whatever, but the overhead press trains shoulders, core, and truly your whole body. You have to stabilize. Like, I think it is one of the most underrated lifts there is. And you don't have to start with a barbell. You actually never have to use a barbell, because I know that's where a lot of people can get into trouble with an overhead press, is when they're using that barbell because it's fixed. So start with a dumbbell. Do a single arm overhead press. Use kettlebells. That'll even shake up your stability there for sure. So I'm going to suggest overhead presses. Joey, go ahead. Rip me to shreds.
So I got my degree in health and exercise science, right? And I remember this guy came in from Ball State University. I can't remember his name, but shout out Ball State. And he was a biomechanist. Okay, biomechanist. He was good in biomechanics.
Got it.
He was giving us a demonstration with the glenohumeral joint and clay. It was really cool. He was talking about rotator cuff and shoulder girdle and whatnot, and
Tell
how they
people what
interface.
joint that is.
What's that?
Tell
The
people-
glenohumeral joint is the shoulder joint, the ball and socket. Okay. And then you have your scapula that moves around in concert as you go overhead, right? You get
That's
this
your
upper
shoulder
rotation, your shoulder blade. Yep. And I'll never forget what he said. He said the glenohumeral joint is not meant to go overhead. We are not meant to press strictly overhead. And when he demoed it, if you just Google like anatomy of shoulder joint, right, and you look at how the shoulder has to archetype in this movement, it's very, very risky, very risky. When you reach for an overhead bend, like Darian says, it's usually not straight overhead. It's usually like out in front of you, sometimes maybe behind you. You don't need to do a 95, 135, 225 pound press to get in that position. Should you train it? Yes, but that's why I have people do the get up, because it's this beautiful way. You start with a horizontal position, you graduate to that overhead position. So I'm not saying overhead press isn't horrible. By the way, it was in the powerlifting world till 78, I want to say. And then they got rid of it because people were really arching their back to get over it. So where am I at here? The shoulder isn't really meant to go overhead. Okay. It's just too vulnerable. And as we know, right, especially women out there, right, frozen shoulder is like top on the list for injury. The shoulder joint is just beat up over time, right? People often can't get into a very good overhead press. So I will just say, let's modify it a little bit. Do a landmine press. That's where a barbell is like at a 45-degree angle into the floor and you press. Much more forgiving on the shoulder. Do a steep incline press, okay, that like a 70-degree incline to work your way around it. I rarely have people, even people with super healthy shoulders, I don't like them going overhead because the mobility requirements you need for that are super high. So be cautious with the overhead press.
I still love an overhead press, and I have my clients do them all the time.
If
If your shoulder, if you can't, everyone can put their arms overhead. Like, let's just say you had good mobility. You can put your arms overhead. Why can we do that if we're not supposed to?
So, well, yeah, I mean, the body can do things it's not supposed to, but when you see, Darian, I wish you can go to this class that he put on, because when you see that, you will realize, oh, that's why so many people hurt their shoulders, because they're doing overhead presses wrong. And even if you think your shoulders,
see, they're doing it wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, that could be said for any exercise, right? If you can go overhead, like very rarely can someone go overhead and not compensate in the low back, right? Very rarely. And so
it requires a lot of core strength and stability.
Yeah, but
glute activation.
Yeah. But I would, if you had to do an overhead press, I would say do a half kneeling one arm kettlebell press.
I do like those. Those are fun. Those are great. Lots of core. I'm a fan. Okay.
So let's recap here. So I picked farmer carry. I picked get up. I picked single leg RDL. My number 4, and you can debate me on this, is a sled. Okay, a sled push. Okay, if you can't do a sled push, what I would have you do is get on a treadmill, don't turn it on, and push the belt with your legs, right, as it's moving, right, because you're getting forward momentum. But the sled push, because it works your lungs like no one can believe. It works your legs with no eccentric action, so there's minimal joint stress. And number 3 is you can train it in so many ways. You can sprint with the sled. You can go super heavy with the sled. It is this overall beautiful movement for the legs with no strain on the joints. And I saw this reel the other day that the top 3 organs of the body that are most important are heart, number 1, 2, number lungs, and 3, number thighs.
2, number lungs?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Heart, lungs, and thighs. Wait, what did you say?
You said 2 number lungs.
Oh, 2 number lungs. Sorry. See, I say weird stuff. So heart, number 1, lungs, number 2, and thighs, because they're equating. If you have good thighs, you're more active, right? You're going out with people. You're spending time with building relationships, right? If you're not using your thighs, then you're usually sitting too much, and that leads to stuff where you're isolated. You're not out in the environment, like you're alone, right? Depressed, whatever. So thighs just lit up. I've loved sled pushes forever. If you got a sled, do the sled. I don't care if you're an 80-year-old grandma who wants to garden better, or if you're Executive Joe, do some sled pushes.
I like that. I like sled pushes. I think they're great. I just do think they're not super accessible. They're not at many gyms. People don't typically have them at their homes. So I think it's hard to do. But if you do have the ability to do it, do it. And I liked your variation for it for the treadmill. I had never done that before. I never even thought about it, but that's a great idea. Maybe I'll try that.
You
So
should just stick with
mine,
me longer. I'll give you all kinds of ideas, D.
well, I'll be here for the podcast, so you can give me all your ideas. Okay, so I had said farmer carry, then what did I say? Deadlift, overhead press. My number 4 is a lunge. And I want to say either like a reverse lunge or a walking lunge. I don't tend to like just like a forward lunge where you step forward and step back. I think a lot of people, whenever people tell me, oh, I really feel those in my knees, it's a lot of times because they're doing a forward lunge and they're not able to really step into a good position. And then when they step back, they don't feel super stable, like back into their starting position. But a lot of times when you can do a back lunge, you can keep the shoulders over the hips a little easier. It's more accessible for a lot of people. So doing a reverse lunge where you're stepping back and then stepping into your starting position, or a walking lunge, there, to me, it's like the best combination of like a farmer carry and like glute, quads, hamstrings. Like there's literally nothing you're not working. You know what variation I did on a lunge the other day, Joey? That was like a cardio blast plus full body everything.
It wasn't cardio. It wasn't cardio.
I promise you, I was huffing and puffing. Yes, it was. I did a dual kettlebell front rack. So in other words, holding 2 kettlebells in front of my body, up under my chin, walking lunge. Tell me one muscle that's not firing during that movement. My brain, my heart, every muscle in my body.
Your pecs necessarily weren't involved. That by the way, the double front rack kettlebell, if anyone doesn't know that, Google it, okay? Just keep your elbows down and your thumbs into your collarbone, okay? Because that alone is great mobility. But then you're really working like all the posture muscles right there for sure. Don't be, when you get tired, don't chicken wing out like this either.
I do that sometimes. It's hard
I
not
love the
to.
lunge variation. Good job.
Okay, would you agree then?
I would agree.
You can start no weight.
Yeah, and I hate walking lunges because there's that fall, right? And it's just not good for the knees.
I love it.
You really got to position the knee right, earn the right to do the walking lunge for sure. I just love reverse lunges or frisbee lunges because you never lose contact with the ground on the lunge. So
What's
if you
a
have knee
frisbee
pain,
lunge?
what's that?
What's a frisbee lunge?
Like your moving leg, right, is on a frisbee or a towel or a piece of hardwood.
Oh, like a slider lunge?
Slider. If you have knee pain and you're afraid of lunges, okay, start with an isometric lunge hold, okay, and just control the weight. My test for years back was, can someone hold the lunge for 90 seconds at the bottom? If you can do it for 90 seconds each leg, you are strong. You are robust. So if you have knee pain and you don't think you can do lunges, start with that. Work your way lower time. And then get that frisbee because there's zero disconnect with the ground. There's zero fall. There's zero impact. There's zero brace. So try that out. D, I would say if you stole my number 5, which was, it was going to be some sort of one leg movement. So a step up is where I was going because I think a lot of people step upstairs and whatnot.
Yep.
But I'm going to change it, okay? And this is hard. This is like picking your favorite kid. Right? I was going to say crawling, but I'm going to say a squatting pattern, okay?
Okay.
And here's why I want to say a squatting pattern. I would say a goblet squat is my favorite exercise, and that's where you have a dumbbell, kettlebell, or a medicine ball in front of you. When you have that in front of you, it turns your stomach on, turns your low back on. You get this counterbalance, so you can sink a little bit lower, right? It fixes a lot of issues with the squatting pattern. And then if you have bad ankle movement, elevate your heels to get down. But I think the squatting pattern, because at some point you will squat throughout your day. I do agree with you that a deadlift is more important than a squat, though. But I want people to be able to learn how to organize and sit in a chair properly and then load it up appropriately. I hate barbell squats, always have. I love front squats way more, just for me.
But like barbell front squats or like the goblet squat where you're holding a kettlebell in front of your chest?
I would say my favorite squatting variation is a double kettlebell front squat, double front rack squatting down and I love barbell front squats. But I
Tell me
think
that's not cardio.
it's
Seriously.
not. Okay, so here's why it's not cardio. Real
Jeez
quick for
Louise,
the listeners. One, for when we say cardio, let's talk about the nomenclature, right? Just by breathing heavy, right? Or like heart rate is up, like that doesn't mean you're increasing your cardiovascular fitness, because if it were, I can scare you into better shape, right? Like, boo, like, oh, I'm getting more cardiovascular, right? But no, it needs to be over 12 minutes, right? That's research back. Like doing something repetitive and rhythmically over 12 minutes at least increases the cardiorespiratory health and mainly increasing VO2 max and markers.
So if you do a dual kettlebell goblet squat or a dual kettlebell front rack squat, 15 reps, okay, rest, do it again, rest, do it again. That's cardio. If you,
It's not.
yeah, if
It's
you're
not
doing
cardio.
it
Hang
over
on a second.
time.
One, you're not going to do it for 12 minutes, right? Without rest. It's
With,
too intense of a contraction, and the majority of your heart rate is going up from catecholamines, from increased blood pressure, because the weight is constricting so much, right? As opposed to run. Let's just do it. Let's just do this. If you try to do double 12 or kettlebell front squats, right? And do that for a month and see if your running time improves, or see if you can run a mile without getting out of breath, or see if you can go row 1K. Like, I bet you more than anything, it's not going to increase, unless you're really out of shape, it will not increase your cardiorespiratory performance, period.
okay, we could argue about this because I would love to hear your thoughts about sprinting. All out sprint for 400 meters. That is cardio, and that is not
Oh, yeah.
12 minutes. That's not going to
Well,
take anyone 12 minutes unless they're walking at a snail's pace.
yeah, you're right. You're 100% right about that. However, when you do a sprint, it's not nearly as intense of a muscular contraction as is like a deadlift or a squat when you have it up in your front rack. It's not as driven by this increase in cortisol too much and this increase in muscular contraction where it's driving the heart rate up by other means.
Okay, let's digress. I will say, I do think that people hear about squats like so much. People are constantly being told squats, 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 squats. And I agree with you. I think other movements are way more important than a squat, for sure. I think there's a lot of good reasons to incorporate squats. I do squat multiple types of variations of squats every week. But I don't think you have to do a squat to get enormous benefits, but I think it's beneficial. However, I think number 5 for me would be a hang, an active hang from the pull-up bar. And because that's extremely hard for a lot of people, but it is really good for mobility. It's really good for grip strength. It's really good for core activation. So what do you think about that?
I think it's great. A dead hang, just be careful. Again, that's overhead movement, right? So if you're having issues with the grip, like Darian's probably referring to like a pull-up grip, change your grip. I think the best grip is to do a neutral grip, right? So change your grip. You can even do a mixed grip where one arm is pointing away from you and the other one's towards you. But when you're hanging like that, just make sure you're in this beautiful hollow body position where your ribs are down, your feet are out in front of you, your toes are pointed down. If you do that, you will feel an immense pec stretch. If you want a little more flavor, put a bench in front of you and kind of twist, put your feet on the bench, off to the side of the bench. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you like twist, you'll get this massive pec stretch and shoulder stretch. It's beautiful. And then do the other side. I think a dead hang is great. And it's a great life skill, right?
Yeah, I agree. All right. We each said 5. I think we did it. I want our listeners to let us know if you try out any of these movements. If you haven't done them before, it's your first time, try them out. Our very next episode is we're going to talk about how to put together the perfect workout. So we're going to talk about how we take all these movements that you should be doing and put them together into a well-rounded, balanced workout.
As always, guys, move well before you move often.
Also, please check our show notes so that you can click the link to try Trainwell for 14 days free. And we would love to hear from you, so please leave us comments and a rating if you love the show. Okay, bye.